discussed till now. So one of the objective of today discussion is that we will be kind of ending our the module one, ending the session for the module one, which is kind of which was related to kind of understanding the SOC environment. Okay, so we have kind of gone through multiple things which were related to SOC, which were like what is SOC, what is the mission, what's the reason we are being attacked, what's the reason for company having SOC, what's the modern defense mindset that SOC should have, how we can kind of build a SOC, what's the different kind of teams and role in a SOC, what's tiered versus tierless, and then we kind of had some discussion about like what kind of services SOC has, like security monitoring, IR, or threat hunting, and then this is something that we will kind of closing today the discussion with kind of understanding who are our enemies, like whom we deal with, and so that was all about kind of we had kind of had a discussions earlier, and today before kind of going to the last section of this module, which is kind of understanding the enemy, we will kind of quickly so last session we closed it out with kind of understanding what's the difference between policies, standards, guidelines, playbook, and baseline and all, and little bit like what kind of critical SOC information we every SOC guys needs to kind of know about. So we had a look at all those things in detail. And today, before jumping to the next section, we have one thing which is called stay funded. And stay funded, what I mean is that every team in any organization needs to kind of showcase to the leadership that why they are worth maintaining, and so that's the one of the thing that even SOC team needs to kind of showcase to the leadership, which is something is the responsibility of the manager of the SOC actually to kind of showcase what's the importance or what's the benefit the security team is kind of giving to the company, and that's where the stay funded things come for discussion, which is one of the last point before we jump to the enemy section. And so let's start with the stay funded section discussion. But before that, guys, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask that you had from the last week? Okay, so I treat that silence as kind of no questions for now. Okay, so as kind of I have told earlier, to make this session interactive, ask as much question as possible, and kind of don't worry like if it is out of syllabus or not. Just kind of ask the question whatever it comes to mind, no matter how lame it may sound, but clear your doubts as much as possible. Okay, whenever you get a chance. Okay, and feel free to kind of interrupt me. Okay, and I treat that this time there's no issue regarding any audio. Um, uh, Everything is going fine. Okay, so if there's any issue, just kind of raise your hand and I will know that okay, there has been some issues in the audio part. Okay, so let's start with the stay funded. And so what stay funded is all about. So thing is that so in the SOC, we need to kind of maintain the metrics. Okay. And metrics is something which is kind of needed to kind of maintain the which actually help us in kind of maintaining the funds and for the SOC environment. And metrics is something kind of which can be kind of good as well as like bad metrics. And metrics something which is something which is one of the role of the manager to kind of uh, collect at a regular interval and showcase that to kind of the higher leadership. Okay, so so in the metrics, as you can see in this diagram, there are kind of different kind of metrics that is kind of showing up, like total number of count of events. Let's say now something like let's treat events as like total number of alerts that came up rather than events, like alert over time. Let's say how many alerts came at certain interval, like at every day, something like that. And let's say how much time did the investigator took or the team took to kind of contain any incident, and number of incidents which were kind of escalated. Let's say it was of low priority, and when SOC team tries that alert, they came to know that it's of higher severity. So how many incidents were escalated? So there are a lot of kind of metrics that can be, which we can kind of showcase, to our leadership to kind of get an idea, that will help them kind of get an idea why they need to kind of maintain the SOC team in the company. Okay, so now in this matrix, there can be kind of two things. One is like good metrics and one is like bad metrics. Okay, so what is good metrics? So good metrics are those kind of metrics which are kind of actionable. Okay, so let me just do something over here. So there is something called good, and there is something called bad. Okay, so what's in good? So good metrics are those which are kind of actionable. Okay, actionable, which is kind of repeatable, and which are actually kind of collected automatically. Okay, these are the good metrics where actually the team or the manager who is kind of collecting the metrics doesn't have to kind of do something which is which is manual in nature. Okay, so the thing is that which kind of automated. So this is something which is kind of collected by some kind of algorithm which runs on the logs. Okay, which is kind of repeatable. We can kind of showcase that thing to the leadership at every session of the meeting, and which is kind of actionable. Like understanding those metrics, leadership can kind of take certain actions for the benefit of the company. Okay, so these are some of the kind of three kind of uh, qualities of a good metrics. And bad metrics, what are the qualities actually? So bad metrics, let's say useless, it is like inconsistent. Okay, it is inaccurate, so that's the one of the most important quality, and which is kind of burdensome to create. Like it is very hard to kind of create, like a lot of manual effort, a lot of, like, let's say to generate a matrix, we are kind of having a discussion with n number of employees. um, Rather than having an automated fashion, we are kind of trying to have a one-on-one call with every employee and kind of collecting data from every system. So those are kind of bad metrics. Okay, now let's say some examples of good metrics, what they can be in for the SOC team. Okay, so one of the first thing that will be kind of a good metrics for the SOC team that we can kind of showcase to our leadership. So that is delivery factor. Okay, so what I mean by delivery factor metrics. So let's say knowing the kind of primary method of attacks allows actually for targeted investment in additional security measures, such as
Ron,
yeah, go on.
can you allow me? I have joined from mobile. Just now I have joined from my laptop. Can you allow me?
Yeah, then
Uh,
okay. So what I was telling about is like one of the example of good metrics. So one of the thing is delivery vector. Okay, so what's delivery vector, and what is delivery vector metrics? So let's say we create a matrix which kind of showcase what how the attacker came into our system. Okay, so let me see if there's any. Okay, so let me see. Yeah. So the delivery vector I mean is that how the attacker can kind of come into our system and maybe kind of get a control of our system. So there are different kind of attack vectors. Like common are like let's say compromised credentials. Somewhere the attacker kind of got hold of the credentials. Let's say so one of the common thing that you will be kind of seeing in your career is that let's say your company has like thousands of employees, and what will happen, what is normally seen is